Gord.
What are you doing?
Well, I was looking at this plant, and it's a camellia, but I thought they only bloom in spring, but this one looks like it's ready to bloom now.
Yeah, you know, most camellias, the japonicas and some of the other crosses do actually bloom in early spring or mid-spring, and that's when you get all the colors and stuff. But this one in particular, actually all these, will flower sort of, some of them will flower early spring, almost winter.
Okay.
And this one in particular will actually start flowering now, and it can go right through the winter in almost into March.
Okay, wow.
Depending on how sheltered it is and how the weather conditions are.
Okay.
But a nice fall color, winter color.
This one is a Yuletide?
Yeah, it's called Yuletide.
Okay.
So what's neat about this one is it's got this nice bright sort of red color, and then it's got the yellow stamen inside, so it's a nice contrast.
Christmas.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I dare say that yet?
It's too early. But it, you know, it has nice glossy leaves. Even the new growth is very nice. It's a great accent plant, so you can stick it in a woodland garden, or it can sit by itself. The key with any of the fall, winter, or early spring flowering camellias is they really do need to be a little sheltered.
Okay.
So if you want the flowers to last a long time, if you can keep them away from the cold winds, like in a little alcove near the front of your house, or maybe protected by some trees, that works really well.
Okay, great. And what about this one here?
This one here, this one is Sasanqua variety too. So any of the Sasanquas, they can take a little bit more sun.
Okay.
This one is unique in the sense that it grows wider than it grows tall. It doesn't grow really high. This one's sort of, the Yuletide is in that sort of 4 to 6 feet over time. Okay. This one is about 4 feet, and it'll grow a little bit wider. Okay. You can prune them, but you can see the flowers. They're all setting. And this one's a very hardy one. It'll last, again, starch flower, and if you have the right conditions, it'll go right into March, which is amazing.
And if you plant this one, maybe let's say higher up, will the leaves kind of fall?
No.
Okay.
This one actually looks like it could.
Yeah.
And I imagine if you wanted to, you could do a little bonsai on them, weight them down, and actually train it that way. But naturally, they'll want to grow up. You can see the leaves will finally start to shoot up this way.
Okay, and so this one doesn't have to be as sheltered as the Yuletide, you said?
Not quite as sheltered, but it's always a good idea, especially for the flowers. The more sheltered they are, they're going to want dappled shade. The Sasanquas can take a little bit more sun, but dappled shade and protected from the wind, and you'll get way more flowers longer.
And how much water do these need, just considering we have a pretty wet winter?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because they need a good ample supply of water, but they don't like sitting in water. So they need a lot of oxygen at the roots. So when you're planting them, it's a good idea to have very well-drained soil. So they'll just keep going and going. If they're sitting in puddles of water, the roots are very fine, will rot off, similar to a rhodo, and they just die. Sorry to say. Harsh, isn't it? Well,
and what about these two here?
Yeah, so these ones aren't Sasanqua varieties, but they flower early spring or late winter, early spring. So they're you're not gonna see anything in this year, but it'll be next year. But because it's so early, it's a nice color for a little bit later on. They grow upwards. This one's kind of unique in the sense that the flower comes out almost like a little funnel. So it's a semi-double, and it sort of comes out like a little funnel, and it's got a very nice color. And then, I can see it there. So you can see the inner petals, they sort of come out like this, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
More of an upright one.
Okay.
And then this last one here, this one actually has a nice color to it.
Yeah, I like that color.
Here. It's light pink with darker pink stripes on it.
Pretty.
So very nice. So you can actually grow them together if you wanted to.
Okay.
You know, I would put them a little far apart. You know, we know they're going to grow about 4 feet wide at least. So give them some space and let them fill in. Okay,
and I see there's some fertilizer sitting around here.
Right, yes.
Or food, I should say.
Yeah, plant food. So we've got the two. So basically, I always try to use bone meal when I'm planting anything. Okay. Really good. The only drawback that I've ever seen with this is that I used to have a big dog when I use bone meal, it loved to dig to try to find the bone meal, but I actually used to just cover it up with, there was another fertilizer that had a bit of a minty smell to it, and covered it up.
Okay.
It was fine. But yeah, bone meal I strongly recommend. And then this one, you can use it right after it flowers, and it'll acidify the soil slightly too.
Okay.
So when you're planting it, I recommend adding a little. You got the sand well drained, and then add a little peat moss to it to get the acidity.
Okay.
And and the other thing you can do is, if you want, I brought some pots, and you can actually plant them in a pot. Now the trick with that is, one is they're going to grow big, so you want to put them in the biggest pot possible.
Okay.
But obviously, if you stuck this one in a great huge pot, it would look really funny.
Yeah.
So what I often say is plant them in a pot roughly to the size that aesthetically looks good, and then you just have to transplant them every once in a while. And then the shape of the pot, in that case, is really important. So as you can see, this one tapers in.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to transplant it, it's going to get caught on there. You're going to have to cut down on the roots to pull it out. This one's tapered outwards, and that's why when you have nursery pots, they're always tapered out so they can come out nice and easy. Yeah. So you don't have any problems with that. You don't disturb anything if you don't have to. Okay.
So maybe it's best to maybe plant them in a pot that's shaped like this first?
Definitely. Don't plant them in a pot like that. These are great for annuals, perennials, things like that. But if you're doing a shrub that's going to be transplanted every couple of years, I would definitely go to an outward.
Okay, good to know. Is there anything else I should know before I take one of these home?
Not really. They're great things. Other than planting them in the right area with the right soil, you're set.
Well, I think I'll be ready for Christmas.
All right. Happy Yuletide.